Not talking about a curveball. That's what you call a big giant curveball, courtesy of Joe Manchin. But you know what? The administration really should have seen this coming. Anyway, we got a whole market that's selling off. We've got investors nervous. We've got politicians nervous. But you know who's not nervous? I'm not nervous, because we did not need Build Back Better anyway. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Trish Regan Show. It's good to have you here. And before we get started on all of that, guess what? I have an announcement today. I have an announcement I'm so excited to make, and I want you guys to know first. I am joining the Locals platform, trishregan.locals.com. And the reason this is such a big deal, and the reason why I'm so excited about it, is that for the last year and change, it's been really hard. It's been really hard trying to have a direct connection to you. Now, if you're following this podcast, if you subscribe to my channel, if you have downloaded it on Apple iTunes, that's all really, really good, but it's still hard. For example, there are other platforms. Facebook's a good example, YouTube, of course, too. All of these platforms, it's hard for me to get the word out, because no matter what Trish Regan says, it can be as innocuous and obvious as we have inflation right now. Somehow, that's a problem. I'm not sure why truth and the statement of fact, which by the way I've been pounding the table on, predicting that we would have inflation. Of course, now we do, massive inflation. But just even saying that seems to get me in trouble. Everything seems to get me in trouble because this is what you call restriction of speech. And I've had it. I'm really angry about it. And I've looked and I've tried to figure out, okay, well, where are the avenues? Where are the places to go? And I found one. I found a home at Locals, because this is a team that's dedicated to making sure that there's no limit on our speech. I mean, limits, you're not going to put pornographic stuff or something like that up, obviously, or anything that would be, bullying of individuals. But in terms of our ability to discuss what matters, like, where did this virus come from? And is it a conflict of interest that the president's son is selling art to people that we don't know? Or is Joe Biden maybe getting too old for the job? Or is there going to be mass hyperinflation? I mean, all things which, by the way, I guarantee you this video is going to be a problem in big tech right now just because I said all that. Well, I want to be able to say all that and then some. I want to be able to tell you what I really think, and I'm doing that on Locals. So go to trishregan.locals.com. Be part of my community. You can tell me what you think there too, because we don't have to worry about all the censorship. Imagine that. So I encourage you to do that. I'm going to be doing some live Q&As with all of you, so you can interact with me, we can chat, we can kind of go beyond this two-dimensional layer, if you would, which I think is important. I want to get to know you more, and I hope you can get to know me more as well. So go to trishregan.locals.com, sign up to be part of my community. But let's get back to all this craziness. You've got massive sell-off going on the street today as we go to air. I'm looking at the market off 600 and change, and I expect that it could be kind of a rocky week. And the reason is investors are all freaked out because of Omicron, and there's fear that Joe Biden's going to make it worse with the potential for more lockdowns, etc. He does have that speech on Tuesday of this week. So there's a lot of fear setting in. You also have a market basically that's very thinly traded right now because a lot of people are off on vacation. So that kind of compounds it. When those losses start, it's kind of hard to stop them. But you've got a White House that I think just doesn't know how to fix these economic problems. They don't come from the business background, right? Like, they hate big business. They actually really, really hate it. You know what's funny? I was watching, do you remember Charlie Brown Christmas? A great, great show that I used to watch as a kid growing up, and I wanted the family to watch it. So we sat down and we watched Charlie Brown Christmas last night, and there's a scene there where Sally starts complaining. She says she wants all these things for Christmas, right? And so she's got her list to Santa, and her older brother, Charlie Brown, says like, wow, this is a lot. And she's like, but you know what? I just want my fair share. Just my fair share. Reminded me of Bernie Sanders. This rhetoric, I looked it up. That movie was made back in 1965. So this kind of thing has been going on. Everybody wants their fair share. Well, this government, this administration, they believe in that, right? Everybody's going to get their fair share. Somehow Elon Musk is a bad person because he just paid the most in taxes of any person in the history of this country. He announced on Sunday on Twitter that he's paid $11 billion in taxes, but somehow, oh, he's still a freeloader as far as Elizabeth Warren goes because she hasn't gotten her fair share. I'm telling you, this White House, this government has no clue how to fix any of it because this is not the world from which they come. They are not smart when it comes to the economy. They are not smart when it comes to business, and Wall Street knows it. So now Wall Street's getting a little bit worried. I think if you ask most investors, they're pleased that this Build Back Better didn't go through because they knew that would ultimately be a long-term problem. But in the short term, there were some that were kind of hopeful that it would boost the economy just a little bit in the short term, be a little bit more of that sugar high to keep things going. You know, the Federal Reserve has told us they're going to raise rates 3 times next year. They're pulling back on the tapering. So maybe if Joe could have just done his fair share, right, it would have been better. But no, Senator Manchin is getting in the way. Thank goodness for this Joe, not that Joe, this Joe. Joe Manchin going on to Fox over the weekend and saying, you know, I just can't get there. I just can't do it. I tried a lot of different ways. I cannot get there. And I'm not going to get there now nor ever. Not after the new year. Chuck Schumer trying to punt the vote until the new year. He's never going to get there, Joe Manchin. So either they send everyone packing, right, in 2022, and they get the Republicans out and they get control of the Senate, the left that is, or they're just going to have to live in a world where they're going to have to be more innovative about how you get this economy going again. Listen, Donald Trump did it. It wasn't that hard. You cut taxes, you lower regulation, whoop, what do you know? Amazing how that works. But in a world where they all want to get their fair share, that's easier said than done. Quick word from one of our sponsors, one of our wonderful sponsors, Legacy Precious Metals. You know how important it is to have a diversified portfolio. I advocate for that all the time. One of the things I think you need in your portfolio is gold. Really, to be diversified, you need that safe haven play. And gold can be tricky. It's not necessarily intuitive how you buy the stuff, because even though you think, okay, I can just go out and get physical gold, how do you get it? How do you get it transported to your house? How do you keep it? Do you have a safe deposit box at the bank? Do you have an IRA that's backed in gold? Do you have actual gold in the basement? I mean, these are all actual things to think about, because you can't just, leave it out in the backyard in a shoebox. Although amazingly, I learned you can put $1 million worth of gold in a shoebox. Who knew? It's pretty transportable. Anyway, the point being that you need gold as part of your portfolio. Some portion of your portfolio should be devoted to that. And for that, I trust the team at Legacy Precious Metals, because they've been in this industry for a long time. They understand how to help you navigate it. So I encourage you to give them a call or download their free investing guide at legacypminvestments.com. Again, that's legacypminvestments.com. Tell them I sent you. Give them a call at 1-866-589-0560. Again, that number is 1-866-589-0560. Tell them Trish sent you. A wonderful father-son team run this business. They'll help you out, I promise. But do remember, you want that safety. You want that safety, especially against all of the inflation that's coming our way. This really and truly is a massive inflation issue that we're going to have to continue to deal with. Anyway, we've got, as I said, a problem in that Joe Biden wants to continue his move into controlling our lives. And I mean really controlling every aspect of our lives. And people are worried because he's given a speech on Tuesday, and they're concerned that, he's gonna once again have this overreach. And there are those that believe that there's a political motivation to this, because if they can just scare the heck out of everybody, maybe it'll make it easier to have more absentee ballots. I think you will, in this environment, still see absentee ballots. And I don't use that as an excuse. I think that conservatives actually need to outsmart the left on this one. If they're going to say, okay, absentee ballots, conservatives need to say, okay, well, we're going to canvass those neighborhoods just as well as you guys do, and we're going to make sure that all our conservatives are able to vote absentee. So it's a little bit of improving one's ground game there, but it's important. It's important to think of all that's going on right now. It's one of the reasons why I sell so much Live Free or Die merchandise actually on the store. If you want to go check it out. My hat my hat. This is actually our best-selling item. But I have a lot of live free or die stuff, which is the slogan of the state that I grew up in. Just saying that, once again, I'm probably going to be in trouble with big tech just for saying those words. An expression that's been around for a really long time. Actually, I think it originated at the time of the French Revolution, but nonetheless, you're not supposed to say it. I have a whole store with it. So there you go. Just a reminder, everybody, do join me on Locals. It's really important that we have the ability to talk directly to each other. You need to be able to share with me. I need to be able to share with you. I'm so excited to be joining this platform. TrishRegan.locals.com. I will see you there.